So we're here for the Group A judge race, Volusia County, Bryan Feigenbaum, and I guess your challenger isn't going to show up, Mr. McDermott. Judge Feigenbaum, excuse me. Why don't you just give a brief intro on who you are without getting into some of the details that we want to talk about?
Well, I first want to thank you for putting on this opportunity to talk to the voters, and I've been assured that my challenger was given an opportunity to be here, and for whatever reason he decided not to. I am a current judge here in Volusia County. I'm based out of New Smyrna, so my bench is up the end of Canal Street, not far from here. But I also work in DeLand a couple times a month on the West Side, civil and traffic court judge. So I handle a variety of things. But I'm a sitting judge in Volusia County and have been for the last 2 years.
Don't you also do first appearances too, or you're on a site rotation?
All the judges, county and circuit, take one of our many responsibilities is we rotate out at the jail, first appearances. The county judges take weeks, circuit judges weekends normally. So I'm there several times a year for a week. I also have to deal with arrest and search warrant issues that come in front of me. There's also many times that you're asked to, at least my colleagues have asked me, and I've covered many circuit court bench docket. So I've covered family law, injunction days, unified family court, circuit felony, criminal, a whole variety of things. Juvenile, I've covered a fair amount of juvenile dockets. So I'm all over the county, frankly.
I don't want to get into any of the social or the things that would violate what they call Canon 7 in terms of making judgments about the judiciary, but what's the common denominator you see at the misdemeanor level, or the non-violent, the problems where people get into trouble? Well, what's the theme in that?
Well, county court, there's two benches. That's either a civil docket or criminal docket. And as I said, I'm on a civil docket. But criminal docket are people that are facing misdemeanor charges. So the maximum time they could get is a year in the county jail. But the common denominator to a lot of what you see in criminal court, or frankly civil court, because civil court, an aspect of that is small claims court. So that you have, it's almost like people's court. You have a lot of neighborhood disputes or people representing themselves at that level. But whether it's criminal or civil, you have people that want their grievances to be settled, that want a fair hearing. You want everyone to get their chance to give their side of the story. There's a lot of people that just make bad judgments. There's a lot of good people that find themselves either on a criminal docket or civil docket, and they have a right to have their day in court and to have somebody, a judge, make sure the state, if it's a criminal case, is treating them fairly and is running a good case. And if it's a civil docket, you have to make sure everyone's presenting things in a professional manner and you're running the docket.
People say often that, especially in misdemeanor court, it's a constant checklist. Here's the file. They sit there all day. They get to 2 seconds. They may not even be called up by you, but they have to be there. And then they go back, and then it's again and again and again. How frustrating is it not to have the system move a little faster in that regard?
Well, you're talking to somebody that knows very well what it's like to be, you feel like hostage to a court situation.
Right.
When a judge doesn't move the docket, and because I knew as an attorney, whether you're work for a state agency or whether you're private practice, you can't do work if you're sitting in court a lot of times. You have many phone calls to make. You may not be making money if you're sitting in court. I'm very mindful of the fact that you have to move the docket. And for every person that's there in court, they have a job to get back to. They have child care issues. They have school issues. So I think one of the things you can do as a judge is be there on time, move the cases smoothly, try to get people back to their other life. So that's a big part of what you have to do because as a judge, you're kind of managing a room full of people. And believe me, I'm very mindful that people need breaks once in a while. You got to think about the courtroom staff. You have so many people to consider, but you have to treat everybody with respect. And that part of that is move your cases.
What would be the one thing, the one goal that you would want to see for yourself looking forward? Back on the bench, what would be the one goal that you haven't, one thing that you haven't yet achieved for yourself, because it is still relatively new?
Well, for the last 2 years, I take my job every day very seriously. It's like that Joe DiMaggio story about when somebody asked him, why are you running out the ground ball so hard, why are you doing all this? We've already won the pennant, these games don't matter right now. And he said, well, there might be a kid in the stands who's never seen me play. And I don't want him to think that I'm a loafer or that I'm not going to put a good effort in. I know, because I've shepherded so many cases and dealt with so many victims and witnesses, that when you come into court, it's maybe the only time you ever see a judge. And so you need to put on the best effort you can every day when you come to work, and I want to continue to put that effort into it. Now, as far as practical, I'm the West Side civil judge. There is no civil bench for county court in DeLand. So I have a lot of attorneys and litigants that have to travel from Deltona, from DeLeon Springs, from DeLand to come to New Smyrna.
Must be tough with the bus system.
Well, it's very difficult. Think about if you rely on public transportation and you have to get to deal with an eviction, or you deal with a matter in New Smyrna. Now, I handle, like I said, cases in DeLand, and I try to carve out time when I'm there, late morning and when I can, to try to help people that just can't travel, or it's a great difficulty. But I see people that are hurting every day, and it takes they may lose a whole day paycheck trying to get to New Smyrna. If you have to rely on public transportation, there's no easy direct route. So I know the Chief Judge is aware of this concern, and this is something I sure want to work on as long as I have a voice on the bench. I do want to be mindful of the west side of the county to try to make it easier for them to have better access to the courts.
That sounds like a pretty good goal.
Well, it's important. The South Volusia deserves that respect. West Volusia deserves that respect. We have a beautiful big courthouse in DeLand. I understand there's some issues in the chambers about spacing, but that's certainly something I want to work on, is to make sure everybody in Volusia County gets their day without having to jump through a lot of hoops and lose a whole day pay.
I'm not sure if people really understand that you have a life, you're a father, you're a husband. How does that translate from the courtroom to the home? You have involved in your children's activities. You were a big brother for many years.
Well,
you're native to Volusia County. How does that translate from seeing the despair in the courtroom to having what you have when you go home?
Well, there's so many things I see in the courtroom every day that help me tell my kids how fortunate they are. You're right. I'm very lucky that I've been married 12 years to my wife, Wendy, and we have three healthy, good kids. I'm very, very lucky man in many ways. I was in the Big Brothers program for about 12 years. While I was a prosecutor, I did spend a lot of time volunteering with the Central Florida Legal Services Project. I'm involved with sports with the kids, and we spend all our time as a family on weekends when we can. So I'm very lucky in many ways.
So the key in wrapping this up is the real Michael McDermott is retired, and this other Michael McDermott is running.
Well, I don't know if that's the key, but that's something I hope people will not be deceived by. Not that I think he's intentionally trying to do that, but I want to make sure that that's clear. And I'll stand on my record that I'm a fair, I believe, good judge, and I would love to serve the community for another 6 years. So thank you very much, and thanks for having this event.
Thank you very much.